Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Gina. If any of you are new here, I do all things naturally curly on my channel. I'm also a curl coach that helps people problem solve with their curls. But for today's live stream, I'm going to be styling my curls live, which is why my hair is currently wet. And up in this clip, I'm going to be styling in real time with you. I'm also going to be answering some questions. Hi, Sabrina. Welcome. Let me know in the chat where you all are joining from. Let me know if you can hear me okay as well. I've got a couple different mics going on here. I will be diffusing as well, so I've got a noise canceling one here ready to go for that. So I'm going to be styling in real time, talking about the products that I'm using. I'll be able to demonstrate any of the styling questions that you have as I'm styling my hair, and then I'll be diffusing as well, so you can always chime in and ask me questions. So go ahead and let me know in the live chat where you were joining from. Let me know what products you have in your hair right now. I would love to hear what products you guys are currently using. So let me know what products you have right now in your hair. What styling products? Hi, Leslie. Welcome. Hello, Elaine from the UK. I'm here in Virginia right now. It's finally warming up here, which is nice after having lots of snow the last couple of weeks. So that's always great. Spring is right around the corner. I'm also going to be sharing a special announcement in just a little bit. So there's some updates, some things that I think you guys are going to be really excited about. So I'll be doing that as well as I'm styling. Hi, Stephanie from Ohio. We've got Michigan, California. Welcome, everyone. Hey, Sabrina. Thanks so much for joining. So let me know in the chat what products you currently have in your hair right now. What stylers did you use last on your wash day? I'm going to be talking about the stylers in just a moment that I'm going to be using today, but just to give you a little preview, these are some that I have been testing out. So I've got a discount to share with you too for these if anyone's interested, and I'll be talking about some of the benefits of those products as well. Hi, Gracie, Shauna, Elaine, welcome. Thanks so much for joining. Sabrina said she tried the Jessie Curl products. I'm so glad you liked them. I actually have them here too because there was a pre-submitted question about those products. So I was going to talk about them. Julia has Flora and Curl in her hair. I haven't tried a ton from that brand. Which Flora and Curl products do you have in your hair right now? Let me know. So thanks everyone for submitting what products you have in your hair. So welcome to today's live stream. Thanks for joining me. So I'm going to be styling in real time, as you know. So my hair is currently wet up in a clip. I'm about to start putting in my products, and I'm going to be answering your questions too. You can definitely leave questions about what I am doing live. So that is what the benefit is of this format. You can submit questions about what I'm doing. So I'll be keeping an eye on the chat and I can demonstrate for you if you're confused about something. I will also be doing some brush styling. So if you have questions about that, leave them in the chat. It also helps if you leave like a big question mark if you are asking questions, so that way I can see it better compared to just the regular comments. But if you've ever wondering what it's like to get a real-time coaching session with me, this is what it's sort of like. The only difference here is I can't see your faces when I do my group coaching sessions for real-time guided styling. I have everyone sort of like on a Zoom call to where I can see what they're doing. They style along with me as I'm doing my hair, and they stop and ask me questions. And then I also guide them on what they're doing. So I will have them, stop if they're confused, and I'll tell them what I think they should do next. So this is similar, but obviously I can't see you all. So you'll have to make sure you're in the chat and stop me with questions. So let me know if you are currently struggling with anything such as frizz or refreshing or maybe styling techniques, and leave those questions in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them as I'm styling. So if you're just joining, welcome. Let me know what stylers you have in your hair right now. So I also have a special announcement to share in just a little bit on something I've been working on. So stay tuned for that because you won't want to miss it. I also have all of the products linked in the description box below the YouTube video. And if there's anything else that I talk about for like an answer to a question, I will be sure to go back and add the links after the live stream. So this is being recorded. It will be posted to my YouTube channel shortly after the live. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using some products today from MopTop. So this brand I've been kind of experimenting with a little bit more lately. I'm going to be using the MopTop Curl Cream. This is for all curl types. It says it helps give moisture, control frizz, definition. So this is about a medium weight type of curl cream. So if you have finer hair, you would only need to use a very small amount or just use the gel. And then for the gel, I'm using the MopTop Anti-Frizz Gel. So this is not the same as their famous custard. It's also not the same as the Curl Enhancer Gel. This is the Anti-Frizz Gel. So I do have the direct link for these down below, as well as a discount code that I have with them for 20% off, which is a really good deal. But this product I've been testing, it's been great for the fall and winter time. It's about a medium hold product. It doesn't have humidity blocking ingredients, I don't think, but when I pair it with this, I tend to get better results that last a little bit longer. But it's working great in all different types of climates, especially when I use this combo together. So if your gel is ever not giving you the best results by itself, you might want to look into adding in a cream. If you're not getting enough hold out of your gel though, you might want to take away the cream. So it's definitely worth experimenting with both. But in the fall and winter time, when it's a little bit drier outside, I tend to use a curl cream more or a leave-in conditioner underneath of my gel because my hair needs a little bit more moisture. And how you can tell that is if you use your gel by itself in your normal routine and you start to notice that on day 2 or day 3, your hair is getting pretty dry, then that's a sign that you might need to add in a curl cream or a leave-in conditioner underneath the next time that you wash your hair. Just checking in on the questions. There was one about the porosity test. I actually have my curl quiz. So if you want to take the curl quiz, it is linked in the description box down below. There's quite a bit of questions related to porosity because I know that it can be really confusing. I don't think the water test is accurate at all. And I talked about that in a recent video. There's a lot of variables that can come into play, so that's not super accurate. So check out my curl quiz. It's completely free to take. You just answer a series of questions about the level of damage in your hair and some other factors. So I think that will help you out. You get a full report sent to your email with your hair type as well as product recommendations. So that seems to be really helpful. Hey, Jen, thanks for joining. So the cream that I'm using again is the Mop Top cream. So that's what I'm going in with first. I usually use probably about that much. I don't need a ton of curl cream. We can always add more, but we can't take away. So this is pretty thick. So it definitely emulsifies well. I might even add some water to it. Usually I spray down my hair to make sure it's wet, but it's pretty wet right now. So we're good to go. So as I apply this, let me just check for some more questions. Somebody mentioned the Mop Top Detox shampoo. I've been testing that and I really like it. I also use their deep conditioner. It's in like a black and purple bottle. If anyone's interested in that, I could definitely link it after this live. So now I feel like I need to add a little bit more. So I usually start small, and as I'm applying products, once I feel it kind of disappear to where I don't have any more left on my hand, I always kind of go like this as I'm styling because sometimes it'll, you know, whiten up like that to where you do have more to apply. But if I find that I'm not feeling the product anymore and I need to still do the other side, that's when I'll add more. So everyone always asks me, especially my coaching members, how much product to use. And I can't always tell you because it is a feeling in your hair. You'll have to go off of how your hair feels. So I went in with another just small pea size amount. So now I have hands that are white again, and I'm going to start on the ends and work the rest up. So always start on the driest areas with any curl creams or leave-in conditioners. Somebody mentioned that it is blurry. Oh no. Let me check my camera real quick. Let me know if that's better. My connection says it's good, so hopefully it improves. Just stick with me. Can everyone still hear me? Hopefully it'll come right back. Let me know in the chat if you can still hear me. Hopefully it'll come right back. If it's frozen, maybe back out and then come back in. It's not frozen for me. It should improve in just a second. So if it is my Wi-Fi, hopefully it'll just pass. So yes. If it's blurry, it's probably just my connection going out for a second. But as long as you can hear me, I'll just keep going. And then if I need to demo anything after, then I'll get back to it. So I've already applied the curl cream, and I'm just going to mist some more water because I can feel that my hair is kind of starting to dry, and I want it to be pretty wet, but it's not soaking my shirt. It's not dripping or anything like that. I usually style a little bit damp. Here, it sounds like it's better for some of you all. Sorry about that. That happens. Let me go ahead and section and apply the gel, and then we'll get into the announcement that I'm going to share. want to wait a bit to make sure that everyone can hear me. I always have a ton of loose hairs. Do you all shed a lot when you're styling? I definitely do. It's completely normal. It's because we're kind of, combing through our hair, so that's normal. I like to apply my gel in sections. I usually section about right here, and that just helps me get more coverage. The more coverage of your gel, the more hold you're going to get, the more frizz control, whereas if you apply it not in sections, then you might get a little bit more volume because you might not have as much gel in your hair, so not every strand is getting coated. So there's some different things to try there. The viewer saying that it's frozen again. I'm not sure why it keeps freezing. Sorry about that. Just bear with me and hopefully it will come back. So now I'm going in with the Mop Top Anti-Frizz Gel. So I'm just going to apply that in sections. So I usually go in with about that much. So it's about maybe a nickel size amount or so. I apply a lot more gel than I do curl creams and leave-ins because I want more hold. So this is super soft and slippery. This smells so good. This smells like a margarita, like a very citrus scent. All the Mop Top products are very fresh and citrusy smelling. So I've really been enjoying that. If it's frozen for anyone, maybe go out and come back in. The only thing I know to try. Sorry about that, y'all. I don't want to cut my Wi-Fi off and back on because it'll probably drop me out of the live stream. Hopefully it just gets better. Just bear with me. Not sure why it's doing that. Now I'm going in with my bounce curl brush. This is the volume brush. I don't do a ton of brush styling on the lower section because I want to keep it pretty separated and not overly clumped because I tend to get like the lower section tends to look a little sparse on me and kind of stringy. So I find that if I keep it a little bit more separated, it looks fuller for me. So I'm just brushing through. Sorry if I'm frozen. Hopefully you can still hear me. I'm basically just brushing through like normal with the bounce curl brush, not doing any crazy techniques or anything like that. If it's not frozen for you, can you let me know in the chat if it's back? Okay, someone said leaving and coming back unfreezes me. Maybe it's YouTube. It's saying my connection's fine. I don't want to leave and come back because it'll end my live stream and start up a new one. Hopefully on the replay, it won't be frozen. So if anyone is missing anything that I'm doing. Great. Sorry about that, y'all. So I'm doing another section about around my temple area. The amount of sections you do is just going to depend on how thick your hair is or how much coverage that you want to have of your gel. So if you still can't see me and you're listening, I'm sectioning right around my temple area, like around my eyebrows. So I'm going to mist this with water because I don't know if you can see on camera, but it's looking a little stringy and starting to get frizzy. It's really dry in my house. So I find that I have to have my spray bottle on hand when I'm styling because it's starting to dry really quickly with the heat running. So now I'm going in with more Mop Top gel, doing about a nickel size amount. I'll make sure that I just thoroughly describe everything for anyone who's not able to see me super well. So now I'm just raking that through the middle section right now. Sorry if it's blurry. All right, so what I wanted to share with you all today is that I'm going to be opening enrollment back up for my group coaching program, and it's going to have a slightly different updated format. So currently it's been closed as I've been running the 6-week program. So we're currently heading into the last week of that group coaching. And so I'm going to be opening it back up for enrollment for anyone who wants to join in on that. So if you want to get coaching from me, it's in the group setting, which is really helpful because you get to hear about other people's experiences, especially if you're not really sure what to ask or what you need for your hair. It's helpful to hear from other people's experiences. It's been such a great experience. I've already seen a couple of my current members in the chat, so be sure to let everyone know what you think of it so far. Has it been helpful for you? A lot of them have decided to continue, which is nice. So I'm going to be running these all year long now, which is exciting. So the first one was sort of a 6-week test for me to see how it went and see if I enjoyed the format. and I'm definitely really liking it. So I'm going to keep doing them all year. But instead of starting and stopping at 6-week programs, what I'm doing is basically transitioning to a quarterly or an annual membership. So this is basically a membership with me through a community portal. So I have a software where we can connect and where all the recordings go. There's like a community group chat in there. And there's also DM features available. And so that is the main thing I really wanted to adjust with this program is aside from our regular group coaching calls where we meet, on Zoom, talking back and forth to each other, I'm going to be offering the DM coaching. So you'll have direct access to message me whenever you have a hair question. And so I'll be prioritizing those messages over like all external social media and making sure that I'm giving everyone as much attention as possible for their curl problems. And so with this membership, you basically get coaching from me through the community portal at all times. And then we're also doing the weekly live coaching calls. And so I'm still doing about 6 weeks of calls, but the membership will go quarterly. So it will run over several different months, which is good. And I'll be doing it all year. Enrollment's only going to be open though for each quarter. So I'm about to open it up for the spring program. So right now there's just a wait list for it, and whoever's on the wait list will get an email first. So that's all it means. If you join the wait list, you'll get an email from me with a direct link to sign up once it's ready. So you'll get to read more about it there and everything. And so if you want to join the wait list, it's free to do so. You just put your email in. There's a link in the description box below the video. Leslie said she's interested. I would love to have you. Jen is sharing her experience. She's one of my current clients. So check out her comment there. She's really been enjoying it as well. And so I've got a couple members that are deciding to continue. I'm also going to be limiting the number of seats just so I can make sure that I give enough time for everyone. So there are going to be limited spots. So those that decided to renew have already locked in their spot. And then obviously there will be new spots opened up for new people to come in. So this is going to be more than just the weekly live coaching calls with me. It's going to be extra content. It's kind of like having a private social media feed with me. So I post content there. I try to not overwhelm the group with too much content. So I usually do about 1 post a day that's catered directly to the questions that I'm getting from them. So we'll chat through DMs and stuff throughout the week. I do client check-ins. And then whatever we're talking about, I'll just get on video and record a short little demo or some sort of follow-up, and that goes out to the feed. So you get more than just the live coaching calls. Yep, Carrie's in the membership too. Thanks for joining, Carrie. So it's been so nice to see everyone's hair improve. And I realized, it's really been helpful for people to do this over time as opposed to a one-off, one-on-one call. So that can be kind of difficult to cram it all in. A lot of people felt like it was information overload because you really can't transform your curls in just a 1-hour coaching session. You can definitely get an intro for sure, but there was always follow-up needed. There was more testing needed. And as I'm sure you know with curly hair, it takes a while to figure out the right products. There's lots of testing, lots of trial and error. And so I help you along the way with that. So I'm right with everyone, telling them what to try next, helping them decide what products are right for them. And it's definitely an ongoing process. It's not always going to be like, here's my products, this is what I'm going to use forever. It's something that we keep kind of tweaking and testing, but I at least am there to help guide them through it so that way they're not on their own with it. So the transformations I'm seeing so far are just amazing. So I can't wait to keep going. Also, there are some questions about, the schedule and everything. So I'm currently doing 2 calls a week, and that's just to accommodate for everyone's schedule. So there's a Tuesday at noon call, which seems to work. Some people, join on their lunch, or those who can join during the day do that. And then I have a Saturday at noon call, and that one, much more people are able to join that one who work during the week. So I think I'm going to keep that schedule. I might tweak it if needed, like if we have the majority of group members that are new, if they can't make either one of those times, I'll definitely tweak it. But it's been nice having 2 calls. I repeat the same content in those calls, but that way there's multiple options. So I host 12 calls per quarter in the group setting, and they're smaller groups too, splitting it into 2, which is nice. So that way everyone gets more time. So that's been nice. I'm definitely going to continue that. So again, if anyone is interested in that, then the waitlist link will be down below. It is much more affordable compared to one-on-one private coaching because it's in the group setting and it's also spread out over time. So I'm going in with more gel. I'm just on the last section. Can everyone let me know if my connection improved? It sounds like it did. I'm not seeing any comments for that. So I hope that it did. Sorry about that, y'all. Oh, hi, Andrea. Thanks for joining. She was also another client of mine. Thanks, everyone. So I'm just smoothing out this top section. I like to kind of brush through it first before I section because it was kind of like matted up and stuff, so that helps. Let me start getting to some of the pre-submitted questions. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, definitely stop me, put them in the chat. I'm just going to scroll back and make sure I didn't miss any. I am going to be diffusing in just a moment. I've gotten quite good at doing my hair as I'm talking. I've had lots of practice. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to tell you all about the group program. So I'm doing live guided styling sessions where we style together. So just like this, but I would be able to see you and see what you're doing. So some choose to style with me. Some just want to join and listen, which is totally fine too. But there is nothing better than actually getting to see what you're doing and telling you how to tweak it, just guiding you right through what you're doing. I always uncover so much stuff and I learned so much. We did one on brush styling, so we styled together, and that was definitely really helpful to see everyone's challenges. Lots of challenges with sectioning and how big of a section to pick up. So if that's something you feel like you might need, that hand holding through your styling, I do include those in the membership program. We also did one together on diffusing, which was really fun. So I diffused and they could stop me and kind of ask questions about what I'm doing. I could kind of tell them how to tweak how they're holding their diffuser once I was able to see. And that's helpful because sometimes you don't know how to describe what you're doing, or you might not even notice something that you're doing until I see it. And I kind of call out maybe a tweak to make, change your hand placement, change how you're placing your hair in your diffuser. So I think people really enjoyed that. We also did one last week on refreshing, which was also really fun. So I refreshed live. I had that call yesterday. So I'll be sharing some like preview clips and stuff to give you a glimpse of what that is like. But similar to this, where I'm styling, but I can see you. Just scrolling up to check for more questions. Okay, if you had previous questions, just drop them here again. Yeah, refreshing is definitely a challenge for a lot. I honestly don't love it and I avoid it. But if I do need my hair to look good, then I will do like a light refresh. So I can just demonstrate or talk through what I'm doing here. So I'm going to do this whole section at once just to make it quicker, and then I'll finger coil a little bit. So I have the section here in my hand. I've already brushed through it to smooth it out. That's really helpful just to get the hair to kind of lay smoothly against itself. Then I'm holding my brush because I'm right-handed in my right hand, and I'm placing it in front of the hair right here because my hair goes towards my face right here. A lot of the curls, see that bend right there? This goes towards my face. So the curls curl in that direction, most of them. Some are going to change direction, but you see these bends right here. That's how I'm able to tell. And so I need to place my brush in front of the section. So that way, when I turn it, I'm also going towards my face. So think of it sort of like a curling wand. If you ever used to straighten your hair and use the wand, if you point it down, you're able to turn it this way. I mean, you could do it like this. It's just a little awkward because now I'm having to kind of turn my wrist like this. So that's a little awkward. So for me, it's easier to go down, point the brush down, bristles up. So the bristles are up like this. I'm getting the hair into the brush. It's actually going into the grooves. You don't need to press much with the bounce curl brush because it is so dense. And then just glide down like that. And you want to make sure you follow through the strand. So this doesn't create super thick, chunky curl clumps for me because it is the volume brush, but I actually like that because my natural curl clumps are pretty narrow. Everyone has different sizes. So if you have thicker curl clumps or if you want thicker curl clumps, go with the original bounce curl brush. I'm also doing a little bit of finger coiling. That helps it just take the proper spiral. So if you have any wonky curls, It's a good technique. Also for any baby hairs, I really like the finger coiling technique. And I only do this in this top section in the front. I don't do my whole head to save time because I know it is a lot. So leave any questions about styling now. That way I can demonstrate if you need something demonstrated. Any brush styling questions, finger coiling, before I get to diffusing. While you guys put your questions in the chat, let me get to a pre-submitted question. So this is a big one I get asked all the time. Somebody asked for stronghold products for low porosity hair that gets built up easily. So lightweight stronghold products. This is tough to find when it comes to gels. The main one I refer a lot of my clients to at least try is this Jessie one. So I did pull it so you could actually see. This is the Spiralicious styling gel. It comes in fragrance free, which is nice, but it's pretty lightweight, very minimal ingredients. And I get pretty strong holds out of it as long as I do all of my strong hold styling application techniques, which involves using a lot of product. When it comes to gel, like I use quite a bit to get strong hold. If you don't use enough, you might not get as much hold out of it. It is something you kind of have to experiment with. I also don't use too much water because I don't want to dilute the hold too much. And then I also microplop and add extra gel, which I will show you in just a minute. So if you didn't get hold out of this or any of the other gels that I've shared before, definitely try some of those techniques. I have full videos on how to get stronger holds, so check those out on my channel. So that's a good option for those of you who want stronger hold and then also lightweight, so low moisture. So how can you tell when you're looking at products? This is also something we cover a lot in my group coaching program, is how to select products yourself, how to read labels and what ingredients to look for, because I want you all to be self-sufficient and be able to find products and be able to shop for products on your own as well. So what I do is I check the ingredients label, look at the first couple of ingredients. Ingredients are listed in order of concentration. So the most ingredients are going to be at the top, or the strongest concentration. This Jessie Curl Gel has water. You're always going to see that first. And then it has polyquaternium 69, which is a strong hold humidity blocking ingredient. That's the second ingredient, which is great. Then it has some humectants and it has one oil. You don't want to see a bunch of oils, and it's also jojoba seed oil. So that's not too heavy, which is good. If you see lots of oils and butters, that could indicate that it's very moisturizing. Now, you're still going to have to try to see, but that is one thing that I look for a lot on the ingredients labels, is to make sure there is not too much moisture. Too much moisture in a gel is likely going to reduce hold. So what you want to see is holding ingredients like polymers. So look for a poly type of word. So polyquaternium, polymers, VPVA, copolymer. Look for those types of ingredients towards the top of the list and before the moisturizing ingredients. If you see some humectants like aloe, glycerin, that sort of thing before, it could soften the hold. Not always, it depends on the total formula, but that's something to look for. That's pretty much it though in this gel. I see another humectant like panthenol and then another polyquaternium, which is great. I like to see multiple polyquat ingredients for stronger hold, and then I just see regular preservatives. So very simple ingredients here. It also doesn't have glycerin, but it does contain panthenol and hydroxyethyl cellulose. So some of those ingredients are also moisturizing as well, but it doesn't have actual glycerin in it. So that's a good option. Okay, so this is difficult because these curls also go towards my face, but now I'm on the other side and I'm right-handed. So what I do is I go over like this. It's just what's easiest for me. And that applies good tension and then glide down the strand. And you can kind of shake it to get it to curl up, or you can scrunch it, but be mindful of a lot of scrunching can cause frizz, or you can finger coil it, which really helps to spiral the curl in the right direction. This is also tucking those stray hairs. You see those into a curl clump. A lot of times those stray little hairs is what can create frizz when they dry. And I'm only doing this focus styling on the front section. I don't do my whole head, by the way. So Sarah asked, how do you layer your curls to get optimal definition without flaking? You should not be getting flakes from your gel. If you are, then you might need a different gel. There's some gels I've tried where the more that I use to try and get better hold, I get Flakes. That's not a good formulated gel, so I wouldn't recommend that. Or it can also be from combining products that don't mix together. So are you using a leave-in or a curl cream, maybe from a different product line, a different brand underneath? That can definitely make the products flake. So I usually use products that go together just so I know it's not going to cause flaking. See how small the curl clumps are that this brush makes? And it didn't like super define my curls either because there's a lot of tension here. So sometimes that can kind of straighten it out, but that's why I finger coil. But the tension that it does provide helps give it that curl memory to help it bounce up. So see how well that curl, now that I used my finger to finger coil it, finger coiling is just spiraling the hair around. You have to have a lot of slip and it has to be pretty wet or else it won't slide. But I start right at the root. Let me get closer so you can see. I start to spiral it like this. That really helps capture some of those short, smaller hairs, or if you have grays, definitely try this. And as I'm sliding down, I'm going around and I'm twisting towards my face. You see, I'm going towards the camera. That's towards my face because I know the curl goes in that direction. Oh, we lost it. There we go. So sometimes that can help it actually spiral. So I only do this for the front section, like I said, to save time. But these curls are going to be in my face and these curls are going to last all week or until my next wash, which is probably going to be about 4 days. So for me, it's worth defining these. I know some of you might be thinking that's way too much work. I'm not doing that. But if you want your curls to last and if you have problem areas, that's where I really recommend doing precise styling, is for problem areas. So for me, it's these short baby hairs. You see all of those? I can pull them out so you can see here. But these will create frizz when my hair dries. They're stringy, they're shorter, they're not going to easily group to the rest because that's what frizz is. Hairs that are not grouping with the rest of your hair. And so you want to get the curls to lay evenly together. So what helps you do that? Either using your hands, praying hands like this, see how it's now mashing it together, or a brush helps the curls lay smoothly together, or finger coiling. Finger coiling just also helps with the shape of the curl, so helping it actually spiral. So I just picked up those shorter hairs right there, those little baby hairs that a lot of mine are gray too, and they love to puff up and create a bunch of frizz right here at the hairline. So I can either define them individually or I can group them into a curl clump that's beside it. So sometimes that works better because sometimes that will even still frizz up. So I'll just pick up a curl clump that is next to it, like a bigger one. How about this one in the front? Now I'm going to smush all the hairs together. So that's why I'm taking my hands and like pressing it. You don't even need a brush. You can use your hands to style as well. You just need to apply pressure and tension gently, though. We're not pulling out our hair, smushing it together and then coiling it. So right at the root. If you were thinking, well, my hair's wavy or looser curls, that would just pull out my curl. If you're giving it that, tension and that direction with your hands, once you kind of shake it, you can help it kind of bounce back up, or you can kind of hold it like mid shaft like that, wherever it's kind of straightening out, and help it go like that. If none of that works and your hair is still straightening out, then you might need to try other techniques like the praying hands technique, scrunching, or just scrunch with your diffuser to help get the waves to form. But that smoothing is what really helps the frizz. So if you have a lot of frizz, you don't have to do that. You can totally just scrunch. But for me, I need to kind of help my hairs lay evenly together. I already learned so much about wavy and loose curls because a lot of my group members have wavy hair, which has been really fun. But I love talking about strong hold. I'm a huge fan of light moisture routines, like not too much moisture. So a lot of my methods do totally apply. But I've learned a lot more about the specific struggles of wavy hair, which is them not holding, them loosening up. We were just talking last week on the refreshing call about how they're just going to loosen up throughout the week, and that's totally fine. We just have to get used to how our hair is going to look on that particular day for however long it's been since washing, and that's totally fine. But I, of course, did share with them techniques to help get some of the waves back on a refresh day. So what other questions do you have about styling while I'm here and before I start diffusing? So this is how a lot of our group calls go, except for I'm able to see you, which is helpful. Thanks, Jen, for giving some answers in the chat. Does the Shape Up Aqua Gel from Curlsmith have a gritty product residue feeling once it dries? No. So that one's very smooth and slippery. It's kind of like this Mop Top Gel. They're very similar. This one's slightly more hold, but very similar formulas to compare. So see how runny this is? Typically, if you see a runny gel like this, it's not going to provide texture and grit. I don't think I've ever seen one that does. The texture and grit gels are going to be your thicker gels. So think like Curlsmith and Shower Style Fixer, Curlsmith Shine Gel, the Not Your Mother's gel. Those gels are thicker. This is runny. I am so sorry that it's freezing up for y'all. Leave and come back. I don't know if that'll help. So now I'm just going to demonstrate the praying hands technique. So for anyone that can't see if I'm frozen, all I do is I lean to the side and smush my hair between two palms with a little bit of tension, and then drag down and then kind of scrunch or kind of bounce the hair up. I've demoed this in some videos as well. This helps for any stubborn, stringy areas. So for me, I usually do that in the front, and it doesn't pull out my curl because I have enough water in my hair. I also used a mask today with protein, which really helped kind of bounce the curls up. My hair was feeling a little bit limp and not bouncing up much, so I knew that I needed some protein in my routine. So that Mop Top mask really helped give me my bounce back. So now when I go like this, well, that one went a little bit limp. Let me add more water. Not wet enough, it won't bounce back. So once I kind of bounce it, it'll curl up. That curl clump is a little bit thick for my liking. That's also probably why it was being heavy and not bouncing. If I create smaller curl clumps, they'll bounce back a little bit better. I'm just going like this. It's starting to dry too much. Let me just wet it. There was another pre-submitted question about how to not weigh down your hair, or how to prevent your waves and loose curls from getting weighed down. You really have to look at how much moisture is in all of your products. So this is something I talk a lot about in my coaching programs, is working backwards and reducing moisture at every step. So that involves taking a look at the ingredients on your products and seeing which ones have moisturizing ingredients. So that could be coconut oil, shea butter. Those are the heavy ones that show up a lot in products. Those would probably be too heavy if you're struggling with getting your hair weighed down. So look at everything that is on underneath of your gel. So your curl creams, your leave-in, even your conditioner. Try and work backwards and reduce the moisture content. Then sometimes we even have to replace the shampoo and go with a stronger shampoo. So everything is contributing to the overall total moisture in your hair when you're styling from start to finish. So you might want to cut back on some of that. The most lightweight styling products are going to be your lightweight gels. Both of these are very lightweight. It's going to be mousses, they're very lightweight. Hairsprays, that's going to be your strongest hold, least amount of moisture. So think about those types of products versus leave-ins, curl creams, butters, those sort of things that are very heavy. All right, so I'm just kind of shaking out the roots before I diffuse. This helps kind of break up any section lines. It's not messing up the hair though, because I'm being gentle and going from underneath. Just kind of shake it out. Sutton asked about which hair mister. I'm using this one from Bouclim right now. I like this one. I like the Curlsmith one too. They all do about the same thing, just any sort of Flairosol mister, a continuous mister where when you spray it keeps coming. Any spray bottle will do. You don't even have to have a spray bottle. If you're at your sink, you can just wet your hands. I'm just kind of shaking out the roots a little bit. So let me show you the microplopping technique I was talking about to speed up dry time, which I definitely want to do today, and then also to increase the hold. So I usually take the towel like this, lean to the side, and then just gently scrunch. And then you don't want to rough it up too much. My hair towel is pretty wet. So this is the same towel that I used when I washed my hair, like when I got out of the shower. So it's pretty wet, which is what we want because it's not soaking up too much product or causing frizz. If your hair, or I'm sorry, if your towel is not wet enough, spray it with your water bottle. That's a great tip that I do a lot. So just gently scrunching with it. I highly recommend this over traditional plopping, which is where you tie your hair up on top of your head. That can kind of smush the wet product into your scalp and contribute to buildup and flat roots. So yes, this does create a little bit of frizz for me. You probably can't see it on camera, but all I do is I take a little bit more gel. This extra layer of gel makes a big difference. Whoops, I just picked up the Jessie Curl gel. I don't want to put that in my hair because the mop top one is what's in my hair. For anyone who is just joining and wondering what products that I use, it's these two from Mop Top. Sorry, let me turn this around. Both of these are linked in the description below. I'm going to add some water just to dilute it so that way I'm not putting on too much gel. Just making sure that I'm still there. Sorry about any lagging or freezing. And I'm just smoothing over it. So if you can't see what I'm doing, I just have gel and water on my hands and I'm just smoothing over the surface. I'm adding my second layer of gel and I'm not messing up the curls I just created. I'm kind of just glazing over the surface. This is also sometimes when I do some praying hands if needed, or I just kind of gently scrunch. Or if I have a really frizzy area, I'll just like smooth over it like this without messing up the curl clump too much. Sometimes I'll finger coil if it's super frizzy or if it got kind of wonky. Let me do the other side. Just grabbed too much gel. Can y'all let me know if I'm unfrozen? I hope so. In the chat. Just glazing this over the other side. I'm about to start diffusing, so I want to make sure everyone can see me. All right, here we go. All right, so I just glazed some of that gel over. I'm just going to dry my hands. I'm actually going to switch mics as well, so that way it's noise canceling. So give me 1 second. Let me know in the chat if you can still hear me and see me. Let me change my settings here. Bear with me. Hopefully that refreshed too if I'm frozen. Okay. Can you hear me? It should sound a little bit better. I want to cancel out the noise from the hairdryer. I'm so sorry it's frozen at this time. Try going back out and coming back in. I'm going to start diffusing. So what I do when I diffuse is I usually lean to the side. That helps to where I don't have to always go upside down. It just depends. And I'm using my Curlsmith Defrizzion hair dryer, and I usually use the highest heat setting and the lowest speed setting. So I'm just going to lean to the side, gather the hair carefully. I'm watching how the hair is getting placed in the diffuser. So I want it to just evenly kind of spiral up and not get bent. And then I'm going to turn on the diffuser. On the highest heat setting, but the lowest speed setting. And I point the diffuser directly to my scalp. While I do this, I'm going to check on my connection settings. There was a question about tangles at the nape of your neck. I recommend preventing the tangles in the first place. Being mindful about what's kind of rubbing against the hair. This is really common and it happens a lot in the winter with our collars and our jackets rubbing against the nape of our neck. One thing you can do is use a little bit of a hair oil on that section. So if you don't want to use an oil all over, just apply a little bit to the lower section. That can just provide a little bit of slip, and it's sort of like a barrier just to help the hair slide easier against things. So now I'm flipping to the other side, gathering here on the diffuser. I am not using a heat protectant spray today because I use the Living Proof Bond treatment. It's like a leave-in treatment that has heat protection. So I used that after I rinsed out my conditioner on clean damp hair. So I didn't have to apply another heat protectant. But Most days when I'm not using that, I'll use the Curlsmith Miracle Shield, and I would apply that in the same way, so on clean, damp hair before styling products. Asking some questions about my haircut. I don't have really any layers in my hair. I have more of a blunt cut. The way my curl pattern is, it kind of creates layers because some of the curls kind of bounce up more than the rest because I just get a regular wet cut. That's mainly because I don't have like a specific curl stylist near me. I would need to travel pretty far. So I just get a regular wet cut. I don't mind because I don't really have a shape that I'm creating. It's just a basic blunt cut without any layers. And the reason I get that is because my hair is pretty thin on the ends, and a lot of layering makes it look even more thin. But if you are struggling with your roots being super weighed down and you've tried everything, or maybe you have thicker hair, you'll definitely want some layers to help you with that. So I am being very careful when I'm diffusing. I'm not roughing it up too much. I'm moving slowly. You don't have to put all the hair in the diffuser, but with the Curlsmith one, it's nice because you can put most of it. So most of my hair is over to this side, whereas some of it's still right here. That's okay. I'm gonna leave it because I don't want to like stretch it to the other side. So I gather as much as I can on each side and go up. That's the advantage of this diffuser because it's so large, so it can gather all of it. We're also using the prongs to lift the roots. Another big advantage of this hair dryer is the long prongs, which help to really lift the roots. Now getting to the other side, that's all, and I'm just paying close attention to how the hair is getting gathered right up. And then once I get to the root, point the diffuser right at towards my head, not up, towards my head, and then lift. So there's a question about getting more volume at the top. Most of it comes from diffusing. So a couple of things: make sure you don't have too much heavy products directly at the root, and also make sure that you're not kind of pulling your roots down too much when you're styling. And then using your diffuser prongs. So having those prongs that are longer. See how this is out past the end? If you want a diffuser like that. And I'm using those prongs to really lift because that's setting the hair up. The heat and the air is setting it up versus air drying kind of weighs everything down. You can definitely still get good results from diffusing without the Curlsmith hair dryer. Just take a look at your diffuser attachment and just make sure that the prongs are long. They make universal diffuser attachments. So if you're using just a regular hair dryer, then maybe look at getting a universal diffuser that has these longer prongs. I don't recommend those universal diffusers that have like silicone, the ones that are kind of flexible and fold up and those prongs aren't long enough. It's just kind of flat. That's nothing that's going to lift your roots. Like you need those prongs to really lift the roots. The Defrizzion does go on sale a couple times a year. The only times I have seen it are Prime Day on Amazon, which usually happens in July and October, and then for Black Friday. So unfortunately, kind of towards the end of the year, it's usually anywhere from 20 to I think 30% off is the most that I've seen it. So yeah, if you're air drying, that's probably a lot of what's reducing the volume. You can try root clips, but a lot of times I don't find that that's quite enough. Using those at the root to air drying, that's not quite enough as diffusing to really get root lift because it's the heat. That gentle heat that's totally safe for curls, as long as it's not too hot. The heat is what's helping to set the hair upwards. And I'm defying gravity basically by setting the hair up, freezing it in that position with the diffuser. This air drying is definitely going to result in more elongation. I do have older clients. I have a couple, I think in my group that are in their 70s. So quite a few older clients. I've really been enjoying listening to their different struggles as it comes with aging curls, graying hair. So I have all sorts of ages. I have you all. And the group coaching is very similar to this, but I can see you when we're asking questions. The scheduling is flexible. If you have any questions about how it works, just feel free to email me. It's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. And my hair dries pretty quick, so it's probably going to take maybe another 5 minutes to diffuse. But I'm glad you all can still hear me. I did link the diffuser in the description box below, so check the description below for the link. Kathy, I don't really hover diffuse a ton. The only time I'll hover diffuse is if I'm also holding my hair up. So whether if that's with my hand or if I've kind of plopped over a surface, I don't like to hover diffuse just like this because I want my curls to kind of bounce up more. But if you want your curls to be more elongated, you could totally just hover. Hovering just basically mimics air drying. Your hair is going to dry in the current state that it's in. It's not going to be, more shrunk up. It's not going to be more voluminous. It's just helping it dry faster in the current state. But for my goals and my results, I want to kind of bounce up my curls and I want volume. So that's why I'm touching my hair. User, but I'm being gentle. I'm paying attention to the way that it's getting placed. I like the Curlsmith travel hair dryer. I think that's a good option for anyone that has short hair. If you do travel a lot, that's a good option. It's smaller, it's not quite as large, and it folds up too, which is nice. So if your hair is shorter, if you have very, very thin hair, then you might like that one more. But if your hair is long, or if it's about my length, definitely get the original. And see how much hair I can fit in one. It makes it go by so much faster. I sincerely apologize for any of the freezing issues. I'll have to look into what that is for the next one. I'm praying that the live stream recording is good, so that way everyone can watch it back and catch anything that I might have missed. It's always something, I feel like. So while I finish diffusing, let me get to some of the pre-submitted questions, but if you have any diffusing questions, drop them in the chat now so I can demonstrate to you what I'm doing. So one of the pre-submitted questions was, how do I protect my hair if I have to wash daily? The daily washing can definitely do a number on our hair. If you have to daily wash, then your hair is only going to get up to a certain potential. But the main thing is you want to protect the lengths of your hair. It's not going to hurt your scalp to wash daily because you're going to keep a clean scalp. But the lengths of your hair, they don't necessarily need to be washed every day. So what you'll want to do is just protect them with an oil. I highly recommend using a pre-shampoo type of oil. Any oil will do. It doesn't have to be specific for that. But there are some studies that have shown that coconut oil can help really protect the hair during shampooing because it really absorbs into the hair. It penetrates into all the hair layers. So just check your hair oils that you already have. See if any of those have acrylic, I guess, triglyceride, I think it's called. Or it might say coconut oil. A lot of your hair oils might already have that. But any hair oil will do. Just use some sort of protection. So you would put that on your hair when it is dry, when you still have product in it and you're about to shampoo. You would want to let that sit, at least let it soak in. It's going to be difficult to shampoo your hair if it has a lot of oil in it. So you will want to let that soak in. You can even apply it overnight. So maybe it's something you put on your hair the night before. And then when you shampoo, that will protect your lengths. So definitely do that. You just want to try and minimize the amount of friction and manipulation on your hair. Sounds like I'm frozen again. I'm sorry, y'all. What if I change my cameras? Take it off the nice camera. I'm afraid to mess with it though. I can try it though. I'm going to switch over to a lower quality camera and see if maybe that helps. Am I back? Maybe the lower quality camera won't use as much bandwidth. So now I'm just on my webcam. Let's see if that does the trick. Maybe that's what the issue was. I was using my nice camera. My webcam, though, tends to show a little bit more detail. Yeah, the quality is going to be a little lower, but I'm almost done. So I'm just kind of feeling my hair to see if it's damp. You might have to kind of turn off your diffuser and let it cool for a second to see if it's dry. I'm probably 90% dry. And at this point, I'm really using the prongs along my roots. So I'm using the prongs to lift the roots. You don't want to over diffuse your ends. So if your ends are already dry, then you might want to leave them out. Sometimes I still put them in, like if I'm seeing where there's an area that's kind of elongated, I might still put them in. I definitely can tell I'm still damp underneath, so I'm going to focus on that area. So I usually get a trim about every 4 months. That works pretty well for me. When I've tried to stretch it longer, I get a lot of stringiness. So I know I'm due for a trim when it's tangling up, when I'm getting a lot of single strand knots, or when it's not bouncing up and I'm seeing a lot of unevenness. That's when it's time for a trim. So the question about your hair getting messed up in your bonnet, that's a big one that I always help my clients with. A lot of times it's because the hair isn't getting placed properly in the bonnet. So you might want to try either checking how you're putting it on. I have a video on my channel. I think it's a short on how to put on your bonnet. If you haven't already seen it, check out the shorts area of my YouTube channel and watch that just to confirm you're already doing that. If you are already doing that method, then it could just be that your hair, maybe it's shorter, maybe a bonnet's just not right for it. Sometimes shorter hair can be difficult to get it to place just right in the bonnet, or it's going to kind of fall within the bonnet if the bonnet's too big. So that's really common. So usually when that's the case, I'll recommend other methods like a buff or a scarf, or not using a bonnet and just sleeping on a silk pillowcase. Try other methods and see if that does the trick. But we really want to avoid having to restyle water every single day. So I think it's dry. I want to show you it's scrunched out with the crunch. So I'm just making sure it's dry before I do that. Yeah, not everybody has to wear a bonnet. I have clients that just do a silk pillowcase. We covered sleep protection in last week's refreshing lessons that we had. All right, so it's pretty much all the way dry now. Oh no, everyone said I'm frozen again. So my hair is pretty much all the way dry now. I'm feeling just a tad bit of dampness. I'm going to go ahead and scrunch out the crunch though, just so I can show you. So I don't get a ton of volume with this gel because it is more of a slippery, soft, smooth feeling gel. It's very lightweight, but I don't get a ton of volume because it's not super texturizing. So I'll definitely want to make sure that I kind of scrunch out the crunch and fluff it to try and get some more volume, or else it's just going to be kind of flat and with the cast in. I usually get a light to medium cast. So you can see these areas where I went in with extra gel. These have a little bit of a cast, but not a ton. This area, I don't feel a cast at all. I mainly feel it on those front pieces where I went in with extra gel after I microplop. So that's how I know that method really gives more hold, because I can really tell a difference in the areas where I did that. So I'm just fluffing, scrunching out the cast. I don't have anything on my hands, by the way. They're just clean, dry, no oil. I don't always use an oil because I want to maintain hold. Kind of fluff it out. I never looked at the back, so who knows what the back looks like. But I did kind of take some brush styling sections back, so hopefully it's covered, but kind of forgot to check for this. So pretty good results, I think. A lot of times I'll kind of fluff my hair forward to give me some more volume, but this is naturally going to fall throughout the day. It's normal. So I'm definitely not going to have this amount of volume and shrinkage all day. It's going to fall a little bit. But if you're not getting a cast in your hair and you've tried everything, that's definitely something I can help you with in the group coaching program, because we do cover that quite extensively for how to get better hold out of your products, because a lot of times it's something with technique. It could be that you don't have the right amount of product in your hair or the right particular gel. But if you haven't already tried the microplopping plus extra gel step, definitely try that, especially if you're using a lighter hold gel, because that can increase the hold even with lighter hold gels, because it's kind of like when you apply gel onto dry hair. So I can just show you, like, see how that little bit is frizzy right there? This is how light and medium hold gels do on me. Not bad or anything, but I definitely do have some frizz like once they dry. So sometimes what I do to touch up, or you could do this if you just want to get more hold, is I apply a little bit of gel onto dry hair. So I just pick up the frizzy area, kind of like when I refresh, and I just have gel on my hands. See how that like instantly tamed frizz? It's because I'm putting gel on dry hair, which really maximizes the hold because there's no water in the way to dilute it. So I just have a little bit on my fingertips. I could pick up this curl. See how that's a little frizzy, which is totally fine. I don't like make my hair perfect or anything. But sometimes those little frizzy areas can kind of get worse throughout the day and cause problems. So sometimes I'll fix them, but I just wanted to show you how when you add gel onto dry hair, it really increases the hold. So the reason I don't grow out my hair long is because it gets very stringy and sparse. Some of us just need to maintain a shorter cut if we have lower density hair. Every time I grow my hair out longer, the ends look super sparse and stringy and they just don't bounce up. It's just not a good look. I went with longer hair for a long time and had very stringy ends to where there's like longer bits hanging. It doesn't always grow the most even. Even when I get it cut longer, it just looks very thin and sparse on the ends. So for me, it just helps it look thicker. Shorter hair for me is easier to manage and it looks much fuller because I'm able to maintain more length up here and it bounces up more because it's not so long and heavy. So there was 2 other pre-submitted questions I wanted to make sure that I get to real quick. I'm about to wrap. So if there's any last minute burning questions, leave them in the chat. But somebody had asked what to do when traveling to weather when you're arriving in a different location. So like changing between dry and humid climates. I usually just recommend going with the anti-humidity gel. So I recently did a video, check it out on my channel. It's basically the longest lasting gels. So I share 10 of the longest lasting gels for both dry and humid climates. If you want your curls to last, especially when you're traveling, just go with the anti-humidity gels. They're not going to dry out your hair in humidity. If you are worried about your hair getting dry, then just use a little bit of a curl cream or a leave-in conditioner underneath that anti-humidity gel. Maybe bring a hairspray too if you want to really amp up the hold. So say if you're going to somewhere humid, you might need that extra layer of hold. But if you're going between dry and humid climates, just go with the humid climate gels because they last a lot longer, I find, and they'll do totally fine too in the dry climates. It's not like one's going to ruin your hair in a different climate. The reason I separated those in that video is because the dry climate gels just have some film forming humectants that help your moisture kind of stay in your hair longer. So that's the main benefit. But either one of those could be really used in any climates. It's just there's some added benefits to help depending on which climate you're in. There was also a pre-submitted question about how to keep your curl clumps separated if they regroup. So I can just demonstrate that because I'm sure I have some thick curl clumps like underneath. Like look at this one. This one always tends to do this where it clumps together quite a bit. Sometimes I just leave it or I separate it. So I will usually declump it kind of starting at the ends, or I'll just kind of separate it like this and finger coil it. And since this gel is a lighter hold, that did kind of create a little bit of frizz, whereas stronger hold gels, you can declump your hair and it's not going to create frizz. So this is the medium hold gel for me. But I just usually separate them like at the end of the day or when I refresh. So you might have to remove the clumps. If they do group back together, you might have to separate them. So sometimes that's just how it is. It might be how you're styling too. So you might want to take a look at, are you over clumping your hair when you're styling? Maybe you need something with smaller groups like this, or you need to separate the curl clumps after you brush style through them. So if you're using a brush that creates a lot of curl clumps, just separate them when they're wet. That way, at least hopefully they'll dry more separated, but you might have to just separate some as they dry. So see how this one kind of spiraled together, but I can clearly see where it's separated. So I will just kind of pull this curl out. See how that kind of frizzed up? That's how light and medium hold gels do on me. But this gel, I am able to like finger coil to get it to kind of go back. So that helped it kind of group back together. If you can't get your curl to go back at all, then the gel just doesn't have enough hold. So that kind of helps. But I just separate curl clumps. This one could definitely be separated. See where it's splitting right there? So I can split it right there and then just unravel it. So you might have to do that when it's dry or when it's wet. Try both and see. So those are some of the pre-submitted questions. Someone asked what shampoo do I recommend if you're not clarifying. I do recommend clarifying, highly recommend. At least once a month for everyone. Depending on how much buildup that you get, you might need a little bit more frequently. But for regular shampoo, go with something that isn't too moisturizing, ideally, if you are getting some buildup, and then also something a little bit stronger that does give you like a good lather. Definitely do that if you're not clarifying, but I highly recommend clarifying. Some good drugstore shampoos. I like the Maui Moisture pink one. It's like a light pink color. Their shampoo is pretty strong. That's a good one. One ingredient you can look for is C14-16 olefin sulfonate, I think it's called. I wish I could put text up on screen, but we're live. But that one is a pretty strong surfactant that is not going to dry out your hair or anything. But I like the shampoos that have that because I know it's going to be a little bit stronger. So that's something to look for. All right, so I am so sorry for any issues today with the lag. I will look into that for the next live, praying that the live replay looks fine. This replay will be up in just a little bit, so check my channel back for that. I'm also going to link any of the products that I kind of mentioned. I'll go back and edit the description box. Don't forget about the group coaching program. It's going to be open for enrollment in about 8 days, I think. But the wait list, you can join that now. You will get an email because the spots will be limited. So if you want to jump on that, I'm going to send out an email announcing when it's open first to the wait list. Then it will be open to the public after that, and the spots are limited. So I will be closing the doors once we reach a limit. So that way we can make sure there's not too many people to keep the amount of time per person at a good amount. So I would love to have you. Thanks to all my current clients who joined in on the chat and was helping everyone out. That was super helpful. But be sure to check back on the chat and see what their thoughts are who've already been in the program. So thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye, y'all.